Hey, this is Ryan over here at skipcook.com. I got some new computer parts for my computer here, so I'm going to throw those in. I'm going to tell you a couple things about putting a computer together. So, first thing I'll do, I'm going to take my motherboard here. I'll zoom in on that. My Gigabyte board right here. I'm just going to screw it in, these screw holes in my case. So, I'm going to do that right now. I'm using a magnetic screwdriver, so I can just put my screws on there and put it down in there so I don't lose my screws and I don't drop them. That might damage the board. And you don't want to lose your screws in case you don't have any extras. You want to make sure you get your screws in there pretty tight, but not too tight because you don't want to damage the board or anything. Alright, I got my board all screwed in there, all my slots, so it's in there nice and snug or whatever. I got my processor here. MDF1 X2 6000 plus. Alright, so here's my processor. Let's see if I can zoom in to show you something. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it or not, but on the corner you'll see a little arrow. You'll see a little arrow on the corner of that. I don't know if you can see it, but you see a little arrow on there. When you go to put in your processor, there's a little arrow on where you plug it onto your motherboard. You want to make sure the arrow lines up with the other arrow and it slides in good. And you should have a little bar in there. You want to make sure your bar's up, or else it won't slide in right. So now I got mine in there. I'm going to push my bar down so it locks it in. Okay, now that's in there. Alright. Now, to keep this on here, it has some clips or whatever that you just put on there and they hold it in, but you also have to use this basically glue to put on there so it stays on well. So, now I'm going to take my glue, I'm just going to put a little bit of it on there. You don't really need a lot of the glue. Get your thing ready so you can put it on there. And you just set it down on there where it needs to go. Get your clips on there, and then it'll have a little bar that you push down that tightens it on. You just push that down. Just push down that little bar so it's tight and it's on there good and it doesn't move. You want to put your fan so the wire is on the side where the plug is, and I did that. So I'm just going to plug that in. I'm going to plug in my 4 gigs of RAM. So these slots are usually on these Gigabyte boards. They're right next to where your processor goes. So I'm just going to plug those in. You want to make sure they have 2 lengths. You want to make sure that you plug them in right so it doesn't screw up your RAM or your plugins, because you don't want that to happen. Alright, so you make sure that it's the right way and you put them in there kind of evenly. When you press them in all the way, your clips that hold your RAM in should snap in place. I always just check, make sure they're on there good, make sure it's in there. Take your next piece and just put it in. Do it for all 4 of them. make sure it's snapped in there and they don't move, because you don't want them coming out when you're using your computer. Take my video card here, which is temporary because we don't have another one right now, so I'm just going to use this one for now until I get my new one. So, and then you'll see like a little thing on this board. There's a little clip. You just got to pull it back so it fits. When you're doing your wiring, you gotta look in your book. I'll zoom in there, make sure. Alright, if you're using this motherboard, this is the book you want to use right here. You just look into the book to see where to plug in all the wires for your front paneling. And this one's easy. It's just a big old plug. I'll just plug that in. Failure to read the book and figure out where to plug in my USB and sound ports. But now we're back after getting some help from Skip Cook himself. And I'm going to plug in a couple things to power and plug in my hard drive to my motherboard. So I'm going to do that really quick. Alright, here, let me zoom in on that one. You're going to have the cord right here, and you just take it and you plug it into the back of your hard drive, and then you look into your book to where you have to plug it in on your motherboard, because there's 4 slots that look the same in the same area, and you got to know which one to plug it into. So you got to look into your book for that. Take my CD drive tower. Alright, and there is basically a self-explanatory spot on your motherboard where to plug that in. You probably won't have to look in your book for that. Now I got all my wires plugged in. You probably want to take some zip ties or little knot things so you can get your wires out of the way, because you don't want them running in your fans or anything like that, because it makes noise and it probably will wear the wires down, so you don't want that. Now, I have to run on wireless, which sucks. Alright, so I just get that in there, get my screw, plug that back in. Basically, another self-explanatory task. I mean, the slot looks exactly like the plug, basically. So, boom. Got my wireless card in. I have all of the inside completed. I have all my items plugged in that I need to be plugged in. I have my hard drive plugged in with power. I have my video card plugged in. I have my processor in. I have my RAM in. I got about everything in there. Now I'm gonna get my case cover here, and this also has 2 connectors, which you only need to use one because it's just so if you only have one available, you can use the other. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna find my one that I use to plug in my back fan, and I'm gonna just plug that in, get the right plug in for it. Alright, got that plugged in. Kind of just scoop my wires out of the way. Put my case on. And then that's it. Thanks. Bye.